Ready, set, and go. Welcome to the For the Youth podcast. My name is Zach, and I'm here with Kendall and Lane. How y'all doing today?
Doing good.
I'm doing,
You doing
great.
Yeah.
Good and great.
Yeah.
She's doing better than you.
Yeah.
Take that.
Huh. It's not a competition, but if it was, sounds like Kendall is winning.
I also didn't go to school today.
Oh, I did.
Oh.
So that's why.
You haven't learned anything at
no,
all?
nothing.
I've learned a thing or two today.
I don't think I learned anything either, though. So.
Chat GPT.
Oh.
I learned everything straight out of the internet.
Just all of it.
You
All
guys
of it.
use Chat GPT at all?
Only what you have showed me.
Yeah.
Shown me.
I don't think I have. No.
It's a
Scary.
deep hole. It's like you just keep on going because you just sit there and ask like, okay, well, could you summarize Pastor David's sermon for me? Chat GPT. And it's like, sure. And you just drop in the link and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it's
wild.
It's really scary accurate. I was like, I was listening. I was paying attention and I was taking notes. And that is exactly what Pastor David said. Not exactly. It's paraphrasing.
Sure.
But anyways, don't use it to like cheat on your homework or anything, Lane. That'd be bad.
That'd
be really, really
yeah,
bad.
you already sold me out. So I can if I
Yeah.
wanted to.
If Lane's teacher is watching right now, if Lane starts getting really, really good grades all of a sudden, just go back and look at this episode
Maybe
and
she
see.
already has good grades.
Yeah, that's true. So like, I don't know why you would want to do that
Right.
I don't
because you already get good grades. So I'm trying to play like producer and actually like wabba, wabba, wabba. All the people watching on YouTube right now are
They're
freaking
like,
out.
ooh, ooh, ooh.
Let's just address the elephant in the room. We have not done an episode in a hot minute.
Yeah, it's been a while.
know. Yeah.
And I think we need to take all the responsibility
Uh-huh.
for that and put it on Lane.
Oh,
Agreed?
Oh, of course.
Agreed?
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah? Same. Okay.
All right.
What do you have to say for yourself?
I'm so truly sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It's my fault.
You're-
Poor
that's a
time
start.
management on my half.
Yep. Yep.
That's it. That's all I have to say.
I'm not
That sounded
convinced.
genuine. Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced.
Well,
I
he's
feel
not.
like
I thought it was.
we deserve better. We
Oh,
deserve
okay.
better, Lane. More groveling. No, okay, real talk. We've not done an episode in a minute, and we're figuring this out. We're trying to say what should we be doing when it comes to a podcast. We did like a lot of like super hyper focused episodes. Sometimes it was like, we talked about deconstruction with Jordan.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite episodes. We talked about how to invite people to church
Yeah.
with you and Addie. If you're watching or listening right now, you can go ahead and let us know in the comments or send us a message what was your favorite episode that we've done so far. But here's the thing. When we do those like super hyper focused episodes, sometimes it's kind of like intimidating to plan that.
Yeah.
And we're also like writing sermons and putting on Wednesday nights and Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, if we're going to do a whole episode, like we've got to really have the goods, We've got to do some research.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is not that we don't prepare for these, but like when you're doing something hyper focused
Yeah.
and it's more conversational
Yeah.
and it's not like a rehearsed, because like when you plan a sermon, no one's hopefully they're like talking back and saying like, yeah, that's good, like
Amen.
agreeing with you.
Yeah.
But you're not like, it's not conversational, whereas this is conversational, so you
Yeah.
really have to make sure you have all your bases covered, because Zach could say something and then Lane and I might be
then
like,
I'm like,
but what about this? And
yeah.
he's like,
I'm like, dang, I didn't think about
that's not
that.
what
Yeah.
that's not what what is it called?
That's not what Chat GPT. I was calling it Chat GTP for a hot minute.
GPT?
GPT.
What does that
Huh?
stand for?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I don't know. I don't know at all. I have no idea. It's an AI, and it's probably going to take over the world one day. But here's my thing with AI. I think it is going to take over the world. Skynet, Terminator, if you've ever seen those movies, I think it's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's probably how God's going to judge the world. But I think that's going to be 70, 80 years, maybe 200 years in the future. I think we're going to enjoy like the golden age
Yeah.
of
Like the
AI.
perks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the perks without any of the death.
So
You
you're
know,
thinking
and,
like
and
not
take
my
over.
problem kind of thing.
Not my problem. Like,
Okay.
so sorry for my son Maverick, maybe his kids or his grandkids. If you're watching this later, I'm so sorry.
But I told you. But also
I
I
warned
told
you. And we can't stop AI. We can't turn it off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's out the box. The genie is out of the bottle.
But what I was saying was,
What were you saying?
I was saying that like when you
You're saying we
have-
don't prep for this at all.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I was saying like it's not. You have to do more research when it's a conversation, because you
Yeah.
have to make sure you have everything covered.
Almost like
and
a
like
presentation.
You said,
Yeah.
and like you said, we also are have Wednesday nights. We have Sunday mornings. Like we have a lot of other things. A lot of times
Yeah.
it's funny. People ask us like,
Yeah.
I'm sure people ask you this all the time. They're like, oh, like, what do you even do at work
Nothing.
all day? Because they're like, you only have church on Sunday and maybe
Yeah.
Wednesday if you're like have a youth group or Bible study or something. And they're like, what do you even do? And I'm like, oh, you're
Nothing.
Right, nothing.
We do nothing at
here.
all. We read our Bibles, and
All
we
day,
sing
8 hours.
Gregorian chants.
Oh yeah.
You know, those are our favorite.
Which we do actually do that.
yeah.
We do read our Bibles together.
That's true. I think what we're going to do with this is we're going to try this. We're going to try this right now. Some of you guys are like, don't change it. Don't change it. I love, and there's a lot of people you guys are already following and listening. What we're not saying is that we're going to make it all super lazy and fluff and no fun at all. I think we're just saying we want to do something that's more scalable. Who knows? Maybe this sounds like it had never happened, but maybe one day we could do more than one episode a month.
Whoa. Big time.
Big time. Oh yeah. When we're raking in that sponsorship money, and we'll tithe on it. Don't worry. And I think that'd just be more scalable. Also, I think we're gonna like run out of super niche topics too.
Yeah.
If we're like, okay, we talked about deconstruction.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, why don't we talk just for a second? Like, what are the topics that we still do want to address?
Ooh.
Maybe a little bit differently, but you guys know some of the stuff we already have like in the hopper.
Yeah, I know we
You
had
remember?
talked about. Yes, I know we talked about one of like what is it called in ministry.
What is it called
I'm
in ministry?
excited to hear about that
Yeah.
one.
One that Clint and I have been throwing around for a while is we have this saying that we sometimes like to say in the office that boys and girls can't be friends.
They can't.
And I feel like that's a hot topic.
This camera is just parking on me while you guys talk. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
it's okay.
You were saying
I was just saying, Clint and I like to say, and Zach does too, boys and girls can't be friends. And so we were like going to deep dive because obviously there's some, we don't mean
there's
ever.
a smidge of nuance, but not as much as some people would like to
Right.
admit.
And we
like to say.
are all have like
Yeah.
a lot of thoughts on it. And so,
Lane's
we
looking
will
at
talk
us
about it.
like,
She's like, oh no.
what are you guys talking about right now? I don't know if I agree.
I'm excited for that
Yeah,
podcast.
I
yeah.
think it could
Lane's
be
like, I'm gonna
good.
get canceled being on an episode with Zach and Kendall. This is dangerous. So we're gonna talk about. You just said it. What'd you say? A call to ministry.
Call to ministry.
It's
yeah.
when you have the Shekinah glory of God fall down on you in and a dove comes down and then it says, you are called to ministry. It's not exactly like that. Or it is for some people. I don't know. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about boys and girls can't be friends. And one day we're going to talk about abortion.
Yeah.
And that's not something that we're like, goofy about at all. It's a very serious topic. It's a very sensitive topic and personal to some people. So we're gonna talk about that. And I've got some guests in the hopper.
Yeah.
For that episode in particular that I think are really going to help illuminate that conversation and bring some new perspectives that we don't have already. So be on the lookout. Be on the listen for those. We're going to drop those episodes eventually. We're going to address those things eventually, but it's probably not going to be like an hour-long episode where we're just talking about that one thing. So, I feel like I'm getting the hang of this.
Yeah.
I thought I'd hamstrung us. I thought I wasn't going to be able to do this, but
No.
I feel like I'm doing a
You're
good
doing
job.
great.
Are
Yeah.
people allowed
Stop
to
it.
like request
People are allowed
topics
to.
that they maybe want? Because we just listed 3. That's only
Yeah.
3.
It-
And you guys might be like, hey, y'all need to talk about this because what are your thoughts on it?
Talk about. I don't know. I was trying to think of something funny, like a ridiculous suggestion. I don't have any, so you need to give us
Yeah.
the suggestions. You need to be like, hey, please, like Kendall
Ridiculous,
said,
or it could be serious.
drop it in the comments. Send us a message on our Instagram at is it the for the youth? No, it's for the youth.podcast.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
That feels right.
And mvmt youth. You can message our church. You can send us a postcard. If you really, really want to.
Yeah.
Speaking of postcards, can we talk about postcards
Yeah, let's
real
talk
quick?
about
Let's talk postcards. Okay, so our camp is coming up,
Yeah, it
and
is.
we're writing some postcards to people who have not signed up for camp yet. Did you guys bring a card? You did.
Oh.
You didn't bring
Wait,
one.
I thought you said 1. We're writing 1. I thought you were doing it.
All right. Well,
It's not.
this is just gonna be one postcard,
yeah.
but we literally
You're doing a
have.
lot.
I'm writing a postcard and being producer. I'm not getting paid enough. What we want to do real quick is just highlight some people who have not yet signed up for
Yeah.
camp.
So we're gonna actually list you all out right now.
Yeah,
call you
and
out
shame
publicly.
you.
Every person.
No, real talk. It's actually there's a lot of people who already are. So
We have
Yeah.
so many people, more than
Yeah.
we've had at this point of time.
yeah, it's like April 5th,
Fifth,
6th,
sixth.
as we're recording this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if we finish quick enough, maybe we'll upload it on the same day. But we've never had this many people signed up at this point. We're getting close to 100 already, and camp's not till July. It's July 10th through the 14th. And we're really looking forward to camp. It's always a special time where you get to grow with your friends and grow in your relationship with God. Talk about a call to ministry. A lot of people who are working at a church now or missionaries somewhere now, they felt God called them into that ministry at a camp like the one that we're going to go to.
I did.
There's also pain. Yeah, that was your story. That was my story.
Was that Clint's?
It's
too?
Lane's story too. She just doesn't know it yet.
Clint's too?
That was Clint's too.
So that's literally 3 out of the 3 like staff members for you.
3 out of 3. Not to make it like a law that
But that's our whole.
you
like,
can't work for our team unless you were called to ministry to camp. No, but for real, like God just speaks super clearly when we go to
totally.
set aside all those distractions. So we're pumped. And they've also got paintball. They've got a blob. The paintball course, I just saw this where we're doing our camp this year. There's a bus on the paintball course.
Whoa, wait.
Oh.
Like a full like yellow bus, like a big one. And it's like an obstacle, and you can climb around and jump on top of it, fall off of it, probably. That's just how I imagine it would happen. Oh no, we're having technical difficulties.
Oh, no.
It's not working. All of a sudden, it's crashing. It's not crashing. So we're gonna write a postcard to Mr. Casey Castaldo.
Because he hasn't signed up for camp.
He hasn't signed up for camp yet.
what's
There's a
up with
lot of
that,
people haven't signed up for
Casey?
camp, and we literally have an army. Okay, it's like 2 people right now, but we have an
I
army
saw another
coming.
one come in. It might be 3.
Oh, so we might have 3 people who are furiously
Just
writing postcards
scribbling away.
to some of you right now.
I'm not going to shame one of the people there, but they said, I've never written a postcard before. Wait, no, that was you that said that.
That was me.
I honestly didn't think
Oh,
it was
dang.
you. I'm so sorry.
I wrote one postcard.
Her first postcard ever. Maybe you got it. Well, I don't know who she sent it to, but
If you get a
might be
Lane,
the one.
if you get a Lane from Postcard, if you get a postcard from Lane,
That was her first postcard ever.
then that's history. You should
Wow.
probably you should probably
frame it.
You should write me back.
frame it.
And say, hey, I'm
Yeah.
coming to
Oh,
camp
pen-
because I got
pen
your
pals.
postcard.
Yeah,
That'd
and then
be
you just send postcards
awesome.
back and forth, back and
I
forth,
want
back
a
and
pen
forth.
pal.
Wow.
That sounds great.
Honestly,
pretty
I
great.
had pen pals as a kid. It's quite fun.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna write Casey a postcard. What should
Okay.
I say to Casey? How do we convince him to sign up for camp?
Okay. Hey, Casey.
Okay.
That could be the start.
All right.
Maybe.
Hey,
Yeah.
Casey. Yep. You suck.
No, that's
No?
too aggressive. Too
Okay.
much.
Okay. I'm open to
And you
suggestions.
say, okay, hey, Casey. Maybe like
Some people just respond to that though.
that's true.
Okay.
Maybe you just say like, I think we can be matter of fact. You are not signed up for camp.
Yeah.
You.
Period.
But maybe he doesn't know. Maybe
Yeah,
he
so we're
thinks he
telling.
signed up.
It-
Okay.
You are not signed up
Smiley
for
face.
camp.
You
Period. Smiley
are not signed up. I feel like I'm writing really slow, and you guys are having to wait on me.
You're-
If
well,
you guys
it's okay.
could see my handwriting,
My brain
you
is
guys need to see my handwriting. I'm gonna cover up his
address.
They can't see it. The screen's too
Oh, there-
bright.
there it is.
Just trust me. It's not good. It's really, really not
Okay.
good.
You are not signed up for camp.
You're not signed up.
For camp. Period. Smiley face.
Yes. The smiley face takes the edge off.
Exactly.
So. Yeah.
What's the deal?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the deal
I'm
with
keeping
that?
it casual. You know,
Ye-
just your friendly neighborhood.
And then we
youth
can say
pastor.
like, we really want you to be there. We really want you to come. We really want you to be there.
Do all of us
We
really
won't
want
take
him to
no
be
for
there?
an answer.
Wait, well, hold on. I feel like you're escalating things. But let's be honest. We don't want to send out a lie in the mail. That's sin, getting
Well-
sent all over if we lie. So, do you want him to be there?
Yeah, I do.
Do you want him to be there?
Yeah.
I do too. Okay,
Okay,
good.
that's all 3 of
so,
us.
Yeah.
We're good. We're good.
We all
Okay.
want you to be
Okay.
there.
We all want you. I think I write really slow to be there. Comment right now. You think I write really slow? I feel like I write really slow.
We all want you to
Exclamation
be there.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
exclamation point. We all want you to be there because that's like we all want you to be there.
Yeah. He feels
and
the
then
love.
I don't know what else could be.
Another smiley face, or would that be too
No,
many?
too much. That's
Okay.
too much.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, too many smiley faces.
Then maybe like I
Mm,
mean we could just go like it wouldn't be the same without you, or we could say something like
there will be
there-
Jeeps there.
Yeah. There
could be.
That will
There
get it.
could be Jeeps there. That's not a lie. It could.
Yeah,
there
there
could
could
be
be.
Jeeps. There could be Jeeps there.
Okay.
It's not a lie.
but
Anything
that's-
is possible.
I like it because that's so personal to him.
Mm-hmm.
He really likes Jeeps,
He
guys.
does so
He's,
much.
You could almost say obsessed.
There could be Jeeps there.
And we could just, the bus looks kind of like a Jeep, I'm sure. Maybe the
more like a
stretch.
charter bus.
Maybe if you like close your left eye and
Okay.
put your hand over
Yeah.
your right.
Zach,
It does.
Kendall, and Lane.
And then put movementyouth.com/camp
Yes.
so he knows.
That's how you guys sign up, by the way.
That's where he can sign
If
up.
you're watching right now and you're, well, tell him, Kendall, because I switched the
Well,
camera over to you.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, if you go to Movement Youth, that's mvmt youth.com/camp.
Nailed it.
I was gonna try to spell youth, and then I got a little nervous that I couldn't.
YOUTH. I feel that. We do a lot of acronyms around here.
Yeah.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
MVMT Youth,
Youth
YTHWKND.com, youthweekend.com. Is that how? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
youthweekend.com.
I had to like rehearse it because I'd be like make an announcement. I'd be like, all right, guys, go sign up for Youth Weekend. It's YTHWQRZ.
Well, it's
and
actually youthweekend.com.
oh yeah,
Oh.
there you go.
So
The YTHWKND.com. It's all coming back to me.
And then spelling is like it's hard sometimes.
It's tricky. Okay, so we've got that. That's going to go to Casey, and then he's going to
Good.
be compelled by
Yeah.
the power of the postcard to sign up for camp.
That's good. That's
So
good.
we've talked about some of those things. There's also a giveaway. There's
Oh,
also
yeah?
a giveaway.
What kind?
Well, it's a merch giveaway.
Ooh.
Spencer Thomas, our resident intern
The
extraordinaire,
best
found
guy.
these the other day.
Wait, cool.
I'm gonna
Oh.
show the camera real quick, and then I'll pass one over to you guys. Oh, we have
Incredible.
Youth Weekend shirts.
I actually have
uh,
one of those shirts.
You have one of these already?
Yeah.
Did you steal it?
No.
Oh my word.
I think I just had
And Lane, actually, is that your size, Lane? Could you wear that one?
Yeah.
I don't know what size that is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you keep one because you've been
Oh.
doing a good job.
Great.
And you're a great
You got the little
part
guy
of
going,
the
For the youth.
For the Youth podcast
I'm just
team.
a walking movement youth advertisement.
Yeah, that's
She
the
really
idea.
is.
We're really trying to use you. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
is what's going
How
on
much do
here.
we have to pay you to get a tattoo?
Of like the
Probably
youth
not that much.
Like
of
the logo
For the
or
Youth
something.
podcast or like the
like
youth logo.
All of it. All of them, actually.
What would you do if we put like
She said not that much.
westsidebaptist.org on your forehead?
On the
I don't-
forehead.
That's like big bucks to get it on. the
That you have that there. so you're right.
westsidebaptist.org/no regrets on your forehead.
No regrets.
No regrets. Y'all, I was really enjoying this when my keyboard worked, and now my keyboard doesn't work, and I got to do the little
Done.
clicky thing. It's such a bummer. But real talk, we're going to give away some of these shirts, and we'd asked for some of your feedback before, so this is super simple. All we need from you, if you want one of these T-shirts to be entered to win, is for you to send us technically 2 screenshots. We need to know that you are subscribed on our YouTube channel.
Prove it.
Super important. We need to know that you are following us on Instagram. Again,
Prove it.
yeah, prove it. And then we need some feedback. Hey, do you really like, are you in love with the super focused, like topical episode strategy? Or are you cool with this? You know, a little bit more
Little
like
chit-chatty.
easy listening where we're still getting to some good stuff.
Yeah.
We want to know. We need you to tell us.
Yeah.
So
But how are they sending it to us?
they're going to,
Like their screenshot.
that's a great question. How are they sending that to us, Kendall?
I would assume they're gonna like DM it to us on Instagram.
On Instagram. That's what I was going to say too. I just wanted to
If you
let
listen
you say
and you
that.
don't have Instagram, and you're like, I don't do any kind of social
You
media.
could email it to kgrayson@westsidebaptist.org.
I mean, you could email it, or if you like are one of our youth students, you could. If you have our numbers, you can text us, or you can show up on Wednesday and be like, Hey, look,
Yeah.
I have it.
I should also
Prove it in
I'm
person.
glad you said that. You were like, if you're one of our youth students. We know for a fact there's a lot of people who listen that are not a part of our church.
Yeah.
Maybe not even like they don't even necessarily
You don't
live
even know us,
in
maybe.
the area. Yeah, like we know you but we don't know you. Guys, camp? Like people travel all the time to go to camp.
Yeah.
You might be like, "Oh, but that's not like I don't go to church yet." That's fine.
Yeah, we've had guests before.
Yeah,
and
Miles
it's
comes
awesome.
from Texas.
I literally got his check in the mail. He's
I
coming
love.
again.
Yeah, he just paid for camp.
Yeah,
and
I
he's
just got it.
he's driving from Texas to go to
Yeah.
camp with us.
Yeah.
He's part of the movement
That's
fam.
the 3rd year in a row.
Yeah, I stinking love it. The whole way that we got connected, you know how this worked with Tank?
Yes,
With Miles?
yeah.
So basically, here's how this happened. Miles was playing in a YouTube tournament.
Yeah,
Or
like
it
a
was
video
a
game?
gaming tournament that we did on
On
YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
He saw an ad on TikTok where we were like, "Hey, come and play this Warzone competition, and if you win, then you get a $300 scholarship to camp." And then this
So
random
awesome.
kid from Texas won the tournament, and we were like, "Crap, he won!" And there's no way he's coming to camp. But then he called us like 2 minutes
Yeah.
later and was like, "Hi, my name is Miles. Can I come to camp?" He was like 11 years old at the time. His voice has changed
So
since then.
cute.
But yeah, we were like, heck yeah, you can come to camp. It was the coolest thing in the whole world.
Was so awesome.
And now he's a part of the movement.
And then he came up to me at camp and he was like, "Hey, Kendall," and I said, "Hey, who are you?" And I was like, "Oh," because I like handle all of our like paperwork and stuff. So I was like, "Oh, are you Miles?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "How did you know me?" And he was like, "I've seen you on YouTube before." And I was like, "Oh,
you're famous."
I'm famous.
That was even before the youth podcast.
Yeah.
That was just collective and all kinds of stuff like that.
It was so funny.
yeah,
He's such an awesome
give us
kid.
that feedback, even if you're like, but I don't live in the area. They're not going to be able to send me a shirt.
Yeah,
We'll mail it. We're
mailing this postcard. We can mail a shirt.
we're mailing a lot of postcards. We're going to be spending a lot of time at the post office.
Yeah.
I think we've got like 90 or 100 of these that we're going to send out.
Whoa.
Just to start. Okay, so that is a little bit of that. What else are we talking about? There's so many things that we were supposed to talk about. Okay, this is kind of funny, kind of serious. Well, I think there's a funny way to segue into something serious. We're going to go to a segment that we just made up. My grandpa used to say, "Wow, I am just flabbergasted." And I was like, what the heck does that mean? I thought it meant like he wasn't feeling well, maybe some indigestion, but he would always say like, I'm just feeling flabbergasted. I was like, oh, okay, Grandpa. What he means is I'm surprised, I'm shocked, I'm maybe disappointed. So we're going to do a segment inspired by Alfred Flanoy Jernigan. Flanoy Alfred Jernigan, sorry. Yeah, my grandpa's name is Flanoy. And it's called What's Got You Flabbergasted? So what is shocking you? What is surprising you these days? Good, bad, a little bit of both.
Wow.
And we're going to go to Kendall first.
Okay.
You got like a 30-second, 40-second clock.
Okay, wow.
Imaginary clock.
I recently started fostering, and what has me flabbergasted is the comments people make to me. I don't know if they I think they don't I don't know. It's like comments
You want to assume the best, but you just don't
assume
understand.
the best, but like people say comments to me that like you probably wouldn't say to like a biological parent, so I don't know why they think they could say it to me. Also, what's shocking,
because you don't care about this baby at all.
Right.
We're not allowed to say
Also,
names, right?
Yeah,
no
yeah.
names.
No names.
No names. Gotcha.
Also, what's shocking is how many people like to kiss my baby, and that like angers me. Like I have to go and pray. Like, don't come and touch my baby unless I give you permission. And that is like really, I'm not joking. I literally have to go pray after, because so many people come up and touch my baby or kiss my baby, and I'm like, well, I don't know where your lips have been. Don't put it on my baby.
I'm making a face. I was sitting here looking like, and I was like, I'm not doing that. That's not what I'm doing. No, because then Kendall's
like
gonna fight me.
If it's like, but it's like one thing if it's like a close friend, because like Zach and I work together, but we're also friends after, and like his wife is literally watching my baby right now, and so like I'm good friends with your family, but it's like people that I'm like acquaintances with or don't really know, and they like try to kiss her, and I'm like, what? Hey,
don't kiss babies, guys.
Like you just
maybe if it's like if it's your baby or
maybe a family member.
A family member.
Maybe
close
if
friend.
Not a family
or
member.
if you're European. I don't know. That's a thing, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Did I just insult like a third of the world population?
No, I don't know. But that has me flabbergasted and a little angered, but I'm working on the anger part.
Thank you for sharing that. This is a safe space.
This felt
I appreciate
like a little bit of a confession as well.
Yeah. Lane, what about you? What's got you flabbergasted?
See, I took flabbergasted very positive light. So
that's good.
All I have in mind is a lot of salvations recently. That's what I've been
That's
flabbergasted.
true.
That's awesome.
A lot of people have accepted Jesus recently.
Yeah.
That's what I've been flabbergasted by. That, and a lot of friends of mine have been like stepping into prayer more. So that's something I've also been flabbergasted by.
cool.
Is hearing people I've never heard like pray out loud before, like just like let it all out in a group of people.
Wow.
Very exciting.
That's really cool.
A good thing to be flabbergasted about. That's awesome.
We're
I love that.
gonna talk about prayer, or the prayer series that we've been going through in a minute, but I wanna share my flabbergasted thing. It's not a good thing. It's not a positive thing.
I'm glad we have Lane here to really lighten the mood. Zach and I are here like
Yeah, we're like super negative. So I'm gonna play this video. I don't think I'm gonna play the whole thing. We say that there's no editing, like we don't edit this. We're just rocking and rolling, mistakes and all. But I will have to like add this in post to the video. So don't at me, be like, you technically edited this. Okay, this is a pastor named Mike Todd.
Oh yeah.
Mike Todd at Transformation Church in Oklahoma. A little clip that somebody sent me. It's great. Okay, it's not great, but he said a lot of great things. This is just maybe not one of them, and I think it's got me flabbergasted, but I'm also not that surprised. And I think that there's really something for us to learn from this. Like I think we can pull something away from this. There's maybe we can learn what not to say and where like good intentions even go wrong. So I'm going to play this and you guys will see it just a little bit.
God decided male and female. It's not a bad, I need y'all to hear my heart on this.
He's preaching at his
If I
church,
was
by the
there,
way.
maybe I would have told him, is there something in the middle you could do? Like kind of a little maybe if somebody, well, I was born like this, I don't know how I feel. I feel you. And I wish
He's like
that there was
empathizing,
an
you know?
option of other in the kingdom. Oh God, pastors don't say this because they
This
want
is
to
where
be
I start getting
absolute.
uncomfortable.
Well, why did that? I don't freaking know. I know, honestly, I wish God would have made it so much simpler and it was like A, B, C, or D, like frick. As a pastor, like, so what do you think about gay men? I don't know. I don't know why he decided to do it like this.
And
I
I
don't
think
know why you're wrestling
his heart
like
might
that.
be in the
and
right
I don't
place
know what
here.
to do to help you, but to stand
I think it
with
is.
you
Yeah.
Yeah.
and pray with you and you're welcome at Transformation Church. Trans is in the title. Transformation. You can be here.
it says Transformation Church, so trans is in the title.
Here.
He says, I want you here.
My first thought, well, I'm just
Go
going
ahead,
to
go
interject
ahead.
this really fast, is I feel like when I first saw that, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on it, but one of my first thoughts was simple is not A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Simple is A, B.
Yeah.
Or just A. Like,
I was like, we're making extra.
that's making
we
more.
overcomplicated things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear that.
So that was like one of my first thoughts is I was like, no. Simple often means like less.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, let's make more. So here's my thing. I don't disagree with every single word that he said.
Yeah.
If I was talking to somebody who struggles with same-sex attraction or somebody who struggles with their gender identity, things like that, they weren't sure about those things, I would especially say that last part. I mean, our church is not called Transformation Church, but I would say, hey, I want you here. I'm
Totally.
really glad that you're here.
Yeah.
There's a place for you here. We're going to make space, and you don't have to believe exactly the way that we do to start engaging with the gospel, and to start engaging with truth and with faith. So we have people who attend our church that are transgender or bisexual or gay or queer, and there's a lot of different ways that people get involved in church, and sometimes they hang out there for a minute before they're like, okay, now I'm willing to address the elephant in the room, which is that my lifestyle doesn't line up with the Bible's. But I have some thoughts about this. Lane, is there something you wanted to say? I didn't want to cut you off.
No.
Okay. So, what I wanted to say is I think his heart's in the right place, and I think this is a perfect example of toxic compassion, like an overdose on compassion.
Yeah.
Where when we're trying to be nice, we're trying to be empathetic, and those are wonderful qualities, but sometimes when we go so far, we end up compromising our beliefs. We end up apologizing for the Bible, or I think whether he intended to or not, I think he made God the bad guy here. It almost sounds like he's like, if I were there, I would have corrected God.
Yeah.
I would have set him straight because, it would have been better if he'd done this. And like maybe it's a little bit of like a euphemism, like he's just trying to express how he feels, and that's not one thing, but you're on a microphone and thousands of people are listening. I think when we start making God the bad guy, and we start saying God had it wrong, but that's just the way that it is. It's almost like, it's like when we're talking to somebody at a business where we work and we're an employee, and we're like, sorry, I don't make the rules. Like we are actually undermining our boss. We're undermining the company. In this case, we're undermining God.
Yeah.
And so I think like the attitude that we've really got to have is one that says, I am wrong. And if I misunderstand, it's because I'm the one who's wrong here.
Yeah.
If it seems wrong, it's because I'm wrong. And I know that God is holy. He's perfect. He doesn't make mistakes. So if it seems like there's a mistake, I got to know that I'm the one who's made it, not him.
Yeah.
And Scripture says like His ways are higher than my ways. That's what's got me flabbergasted.
Yeah.
That's what's got me kind of frustrated because I've heard Mike Todd say a lot of great things that I'm like, man, that was good. That I think that encouraged me in my faith. That challenged me. Not just stuff that I feels good to hear, like stuff that is uncomfortable to hear.
Yeah.
So I was
think
like,
it's-
man, it's unfortunate that they said it that way.
Yeah, I have a lot of different thoughts, but like one of my favorite messages he ever is like a Mike Todd message, and he's talking about the life of David. But I think, like you said, you were saying at the beginning of when you were talking, you said something about like not apologizing for God and not saying. And Francis Chan addresses this in his book Erasing Hell, because he's talking about hell.
You preached on that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And at the beginning of his book, he's like, I just want to be clear, like, and almost like issuing this like statement as like Christians, like we have to stop apologizing for God, because that's like rude to God, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like you were saying, like when you say like, oh, I don't make the rules, like you're kind of like shaming your boss a little bit and just kind of like discrediting, not shaming, but discrediting.
Yeah.
And we don't have to apologize for God. Like that is not like, that's not how you present the gospel. You don't go up to your friend and be like, I'm sorry, this is just how it is. It's like, no, this is a gift, a free gift of salvation.
Yeah.
And like, we don't get to apologize for God. He doesn't need us to apologize for him. And so, I was just like thinking about that of like, we might not understand why God did it the way that he did. It talks about that in Isaiah of like, we don't know, like his thoughts are higher than our thoughts, like you said, and like his ways are higher than our ways. And so we don't always understand that, but that doesn't mean that, we can maybe make some of those claims they're just a little bold, maybe.
Yeah. And like I said, I think what he's probably doing there is he's saying like, I just want to, I want to empathize. I want you to know that I don't take this lightly, and you're right, it is difficult, and I probably can't relate perfectly. If you're watching or listening right now and you're saying, Zach, you're being really like insensitive because I struggle with this kind of identity issue, or this kind of same-sex attraction maybe, I don't know exactly what that's like, but I will tell you, like, there are things that feel right or feel natural to me that I would be wrong to follow through with. That it would be sin for me to do some of those things. And so that's part of the reason that, like, in Hebrews, when the writer is talking about Jesus, and he's like, Jesus is so much better than you can possibly imagine. Like, he's saying he's a better high priest because he can relate to you in that he was tempted in every way. And you're like, every way? Every way. Like, he was tempted in every way. I'm not saying Jesus struggled with same-sex attraction, but he struggled with sin. Is the concept. He struggled with in one form or another. I think he did struggle with the same things that
I
we
also
struggle
think
with.
too, like you talked about oh no, I'm losing my train of thought.
Oh no, I hate it when that happens.
You were saying that I have part of it but not the whole thought. I'm just going to say the part that I remember. Or you're talking about like not acting on it. There's things that you feel, but you can't necessarily act on it.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of like my flabbergasted moment of culture is changing, right? Like we can agree, like culture is changing as time goes on. Like
things that used to be okay are not okay anymore.
Exactly. And so, or things that weren't okay back then are now okay now, legally or based on culture. And so going back to my like flabbergasted moment of somebody coming up and like kissing my baby, you could almost rightfully say that I have a right to shove them off of the baby. You could say that. Some people might say like, it's okay if they come and kiss your baby for you to like hit them. Some people could say that. And it's like, I'm not saying that that's what I'm not saying that's what I'm going to do. But like people could justify, like you can like get in their face and be like, hey, step back and like yell at them, but like God calls us to a higher standard. And God also like
self-control
like, like, because I said like it makes me angry. I'm not thinking about hitting anybody who's like getting close to my baby, but I'm just saying like
TKO
some people like could like justify. I mean, you see like videos of Karens all over Instagram, right? And some people could justify what they're doing, but I think like God calls us to a higher standard, and like just because even culture says it's okay doesn't mean that the Bible says it's okay. That was my whole point.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm tracking with you.
I think because that is definitely also like a call of obedience kind of thing also for us as Christians. And I know me and my friends have been talking a lot about the idea of like, what is God worthy of, like in the way that we act and the way that we interact with people. Because, we'll talk about just random things like, I can be a Christian and not go to church, like that kind of question. But then it's like, but what is God worthy of? So in the same way, when I'm having a conversation with somebody where that's
a great way to think about it,
where it's easiest for me to kind of like present my beliefs in a softer way. That's easiest for me. But what God is worthy of in my mind is like addressing it like it is the truth, because I know it's the truth.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like addressing it how it is. And that's not the easiest way to address it. But also, I mean, showing empathy is also what God's worthy of, is just to address them as somebody that you can relate to. Like, we've both struggled with sin. God is worthy of me admitting my faults for the sake of your salvation, for the sake of you connecting with me. But he's also worthy of me treating his word like the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is.
It's very insightful.
That is that's why we got you on the podcast.
Yeah.
That's why we got you on here. I think that's so insightful. I love, like, I've heard people say, you know, they've said things like this. They've been like, well, like, maybe I can technically do that, but is that best?
Yeah.
I think it's a good way to put it too, but I like the way you said it. You're like, no, not just what's best, like what is God worthy of?
Yeah.
Because even best is subjective.
Yeah.
But like when you're asking the question like, what is God worthy of? It's more like you're saying, okay, it's the very best.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like the
Well, because it totally removes us. Because like you said,
completely.
best is subjective.
Yes.
We're all going to think
Yeah.
different best. Or even like my illustration was more of like a personal one. And you're like, it's actually not even about us.
Yeah.
Like, it's not what we think or what we think God should have done. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because what's done is done. What is God worthy of?
I didn't think that this related to our last item. I think it's our last item. We did the postcards. We're finishing up talking about toxic compassion. We got the giveaway. Make sure you give us some feedback and send us those screenshots. But we're going to move to our last item for time's sake. And I think I'm going to be able to tie this back together. You guys tell me if this is, you know, if I'm forcing this. But we've been going through the series. We just finished a series on prayer. You were talking about it a second ago. So I was like, we're going to talk about it again. But we talked about all kinds of different prayers. Supplication, which those are prayers like for me.
Yeah.
Adoration or exaltation, those are prayers like for God, just to say, God, you're amazing. You're incredible. Your ways are not like my ways. They're higher than my ways. You're powerful, and just giving him the glory that he deserves. And then last night we talked about intercession when we're praying for other people. And I agree. Like I've been impacted as I studied it and shared it with other people. That's part of the reason I like being a pastor. But we came across this passage last night as we were talking about intercession in Exodus 32. Either of you guys have your Bibles by chance?
I have my phone.
You wanna pull up Exodus 32 for us?
Yeah.
I might ask you to read something real quick. If you can scan Exodus 32, it's like verse 7 or 8, and read the part about the golden calf for us.
Okay.
Where it says Aaron makes a golden calf. And it wasn't really the focus of the message. The focus of the message was like, hey, Moses interceded for the people of Israel in the same way that Jesus interceded for us. Like the people of Israel were guilty. They'd sinned. We are guilty. We've sinned. And Moses puts himself between a righteous and holy God and a wicked mob that deserves a punishment. And then Jesus does the same thing. He puts himself between us and God and says like, no, give me what they deserve. That's the gospel right there in Exodus 32. But I had like this like little bit that I had to cut out, and I wanted to talk about it here because, and I think it's going to connect to the whole toxic compassion concept.
Yeah.
Did you find those?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have like...
Just read a little bit and I'll be like, yeah, that's it.
Okay. So verse 4, it said he took the gold from them, fashioned it with an engraving tool, and made it into an image of a calf. Then they said, Israel, these are your gods who brought you up from the land of Egypt. When Aaron saw this, he built an altar in front of it and made an announcement. There will be a festival of the Lord tomorrow. Early the next morning they rose. I'm
so glad you said that part. I almost cut you off a little too early. So... it's pretty absurd. It's insane. Like Moses is gone for a few days, who knows, talking to God. And while they're gone, the people of Israel get impatient and they say, we want something to worship. And they've got the living God. They're on the way to the promised land. It's nuts. And they say, well, we want something to worship. Aaron's like, fine. And so, he says, give me all the gold, like some of the earrings that they got from Egypt, because God did that.
Yeah.
And they melted it down and they made it into a calf. And I said, it's significant that they made it into a calf. Do you remember any of that, or did you already know some of that?
I actually wasn't here last Wednesday, but I...
Are you even saved? I'm just joking. I'm joking. No, so but you know the passage already?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So it's significant that he makes it into a calf. Because Egypt, where they just come from, had a god that was like a bull.
Yeah.
Canaan, the land that they're going to, they had a false god Molech that was also a bull.
Yeah.
And now they're in the middle here, and while they're they get bored basically, and they want a false god.
Yeah.
They say, well, we don't want the Egyptian bull or the Canaanite bull, but give us a little calf.
Yeah.
What does that
cute.
say to you? I think you're joking, but like you're onto it. You really are.
They're cute. They're like, I mean, I am joking. They're cute, but like they're softer.
Yeah.
They're softer. Okay. What else?
I don't want to like jump ahead.
I think you're onto it. I think you guys are onto it.
I watched a sermon from a lady in Texas. She was talking about a similar thing. I feel like we might have watched the same one. But she was talking about, she gave the example of like, if you go to a rodeo, there's this thing called a calf scramble where they put all the kids in, like, they put kids in the ring with a bunch of calf. And the first kid.
What?
I've seen it.
So the first kid to tackle a calf gets a prize. And then she's like, well,
How big is the calf?
It's like not
like a dog.
They're not
Okay.
it's not like your kids.
Like
they're
a
like
dog.
7, 8,
Yeah.
9.
Oh,
they're
okay.
like-
So
no,
like a bigger kid.
No,
Okay.
they're not
Okay.
elementary
Toddlers,
kids.
no.
It's
I'm not from
toddlers.
Texas. I don't understand.
She was like, it
You
was
don't
Yeah.
know that.
yeah, it was
rodeo
good. At
ways.
first I was like, where is she going? But she was like, there's a reason they don't put bulls in there. And she was talking about like a calf is like a gentler way to approach it. So then she goes on to talk about what I think you're getting at also was like a gentler approach to a way of worshiping their past God and still putting like, God's title
Okay,
on
this
it.
is wild. You weren't even there last night, and you already know all this. This is crazy. The rest of you listen. This works for Lane. This doesn't work for you. You need to go to Collective. But yeah, it's 100% it. I don't know who it is, but we probably found the same content. And what I was reading, what I was studying is basically the exact same hunch. A lot of scholars are saying like, hey, they wanted like a softer, less intimidating, less menacing, less scary version of what the cultures around them had in terms of worship. They wanted to engage in that sin, engage in the culture, but like soften it.
But like little ways.
A little
Just
bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. So like, on Netflix, there's outright pornography. Like there's outright nudity. Well, we're not going to do that. We're just going to we're going to have like some pretty bad immodesty, but it's not that. It's not that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In church, because the next verse, like you said it, after they had the golden calf, I don't know what Aaron's thinking, but he goes, let's rope God into this.
Yeah.
Let's invite God to this.
Yeah, I think he kind of was like
deal.
realized what he had done. And he was like,
Oh no.
Let me save this a little bit. Like
Yeah. How do I redeem this?
Yeah.
God, you're invited too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's almost worse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tries to make it better, almost worse.
Right. But then we do the same kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
We make a mess, and we compromise, and we import the culture to our world, and then we're like, God, you're invited too.
Yeah.
Right? And we slap Jesus' name on it.
Wow.
And I don't know, like I'm thinking of like entertainment and things like that, but do you guys see anywhere else that we do the same thing? Or something similar?
Yeah. I'm trying to think because
it's like sin light or idolatry light.
I was talking to one of my friends. It definitely probably won't apply to youth as much, but we were talking about like an example of if like if like before okay, say I'm older, okay, and before I was a Christian, I like drank a lot, and then I became.
How dare you?
I know. And then
I
became sober when I came to New God.
Yeah.
And this is kind of off to the side, but something I had noted when I did read that story was it was almost like they were in an insecurity of faith in the moment, and that's where that altar came from, was an insecurity of faith trying to fill a void there in their faith. Yeah. So anyway, we were talking about that, and I was like, okay, so let's say I became a Christian, and then I became sober, and then like one of my parents passed away. So all of a sudden I'm in like an insecurity of faith, like I feel like God is not there, and the one time I find comfort is I just like go and I'm like socially drinking with friends. So then I continue to do that, but I'm justifying it by saying like, oh, well, I'm not doing as much as I had self-control. Like,
I'm not puking on the sidewalk like
and I'm like,
some people on their way to Ben Hill Griffin.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
did I
that's
say
a
that?
testimony to my faith. Like I have self-control enough that I'm like not going all the way. But then I become reliant on social drinking. So that was the example that my friend and I had talked about after like literally today. But
Because like you can easily like slip back into those old things, which might not necessarily be a bad thing. But it depends on how you're using it. Like if you're using it as a crutch, and like you said, become reliant on social drinking. Like maybe it's not a bad thing to have a drink, but then if you're or if it like takes you to a place that reminds you of your past, you know, because like, there's like some
you
people
feel
that
that comfort
with that.
and. You know, I was talking to another friend. Everything clicks together, but and we were talking about how like a lot of times you fall into sinful habits because like we are drawn to comfort, more than we're drawn to growth, we're drawn to comfort.
That's so
So
true.
like, if I am all of a sudden, like, I feel like God is further from me, whether that's true or not, like, I feel like he's further from me, then whatever offers me comfort, my desire is to jump into that more than I'm jumping into God's, what I feel like is absence.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean, we live in the land of comfort food,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's right.
We're in the South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so true. Wow. I don't know. Do you guys see like the dots connecting a little bit between that? That wasn't intentional. Honestly, Clint asked me earlier, he's like, hey, what are you preaching about next Wednesday? And I was like, I'll let you know. He's like, well, what are you mad about? And I was like, so sometimes,
golden calf.
the golden calf. We're going to talk about that. And I was like, well, I don't know. But yeah, this agenda or the rundown for today's show wasn't necessarily put together this way, but I think the Holy Spirit just kind of like wound all this together through what he's been teaching you guys as well. And it's pretty cool. I think in both those instances, Transformation Church and Exodus, and the same and then not the same at all. What's common is that like we try to compromise and we try to just fit some of the culture, or we try to accommodate the culture around us and make it mesh with our faith. And that's why I think like the older I get, the more like old school I am. I'm like, no, listen, it was just better when we didn't go anywhere near that stuff. And I sound like an absolute boomer, but I'm just telling you, I just see the patterns when we make little compromises here and there. Like it takes us places we never thought it was going to go.
And
we end up worshiping a
daggum
calf.
And I think there's a way to like maybe adjust with culture without compromising, right? Because like we're not saying we're not going to be accepting or like welcoming to people who believe other things or have different convictions, but like when you that can't mix with the compromises that we're willing to make based on our faith. You know?
The culture drives automobiles, so we are not driving those confounded future machines. No, I'm tracking with you. There was an organization I was a part of for a long time, or I wasn't a part of, but I was connected to for a minute. They had some of the silliest rules. They had a rule where none of the guys could have any facial hair. It was like against the rules. This whole school that I went to. Some of them are probably watching right now. They don't do it that way anymore. Like they've ditched so many of those rules. But they had another rule: you couldn't go to movie theaters.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Shocked.
It was nuts. And you might be like, oh, because like you couldn't see bad movies at a movie theater. No, you couldn't see any movies.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't go watch The Lion King at the movie theater. And they were like, well, because in the culture and people don't know what you're seeing in there. I was like, but I could go watch an R-rated movie at my house. And you wouldn't have a problem with it. I mean, they'd have a problem with it. But you know what I'm saying? Like we can watch something I was watching Netflix on my laptop at this school, but I couldn't go to a movie theater. Those are those instances where like we have to actually inspect the culture and say, is this a compromise or is this just technology or is this just neutral?
I think my mom and I were also talking about in the idea of like there's a difference between like living a life where you are responding to your convictions and living a life where you're just taking a legalistic approach like to make yourself feel good. I think you talked about like superstitious Christians, like that idea. Like there's a difference between me responding to my convictions and altering things in my life for that sake and me just choosing not to do things because people who aren't Christians also like that.
That's just being like contrarian to pick a fight. So guys, how do we like tie this all up? What are like the highlights from this rundown, this buffet of For the Youth podcast? I think we titled this episode We're Figuring This Out. If you like this, if you like the ADD strategy here that we got going, just going from one thing to another, hot potato style, let us know. But what would you say are some of the like key takeaways?
Oh gosh, my memory's really.
You said half of the stuff, so
but I've been up since like 5
I didn't feel like it was a quiz.
I mean, I keep circling back to the idea of what is God worthy of?
What is God worthy of?
Like, she killed it with that.
With the calf too. Like that's
don't worship golden calves.
He's worthy of full worship, not just half and half.
Well, I think like a way that you can almost summarize it is just like of all the things, like we talked about some silly stuff, what's like
Yeah.
making us like flabbergasted, and then we even did like recaps, and we talked about camp.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
like,
you
the
got to sign up for
podcast.
camp.
Yeah, like all
Got
of
to
this
sign up
stuff.
for camp.
But I think a good way to wrap it up is like, of all the things that we're doing, like, what is God worthy of? Like, even in coming to camp, what is God worthy of? Like,
He's worthy of you signing up for
right. I'm
camp.
not saying that's like guilt you into coming to camp, but I'm saying like
I am. She's
think
not saying
about,
it, but
like,
I
the
am.
situations when you're at camp. Like, God is worthy of your worship. At camp, you're gonna be able to worship. Yeah, you can do that at home too. But just like in everything, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like that should almost be the summary of our lives. Like, what is God worthy of? And then
Come on.
live your life that way. That's it.
Yeah.
And this is where we break into song. He's worthy.
Oh, I know. Oh, we need Quentin to come
We need Evan. We need Evan come on
Yeah,
in here.
Evan, where are you?
And just let us have it. Hey guys, thank you so much for being a part of the For the Youth podcast. This is number 8. Technically, I don't know. I've lost track.
Maybe?
However many this is. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe. Send this to somebody you think that they might enjoy it, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.